Hello, everybody. This is Scott Zambelli with Bardstone Publishing, and you're live on Facebook, or if you're watching on TikTok, hello there. I'm co-streaming on both streaming platforms. So just give me a moment here. I'm going to put the link here in the comments for you Facebook viewers. If you are a TikTok watcher, go to the bio. I got the link in the bio on TikTok. So let's just get this. All right, so I'm posting the link in here. All right, you'll see it in the comments if you are watching through Facebook or one of those other stream platforms. Today we are going to do a sketch cover and do some drawing here, but I want to talk really quick. Our Bardstone Kickstarter for Crimson Shadows, our graphic novel, 198 pages, full color horror. It centers around the Jack the Ripper case. Here's a little bit from issue 1, but the graphic novel is 198 pages. So if you go there, you can secure your copy of the graphic novel. We have 4 different covers for the soft cover version and 1 cover for the hardcover. So that's 5 covers in all. So got a lot of content there. And like I said, it centers around the Jack the Ripper case, but we have our hero, Julius Resnick, who is recently fallen ill. And in his illness, he's lost a lot of weight and very sick. But he's also experiencing these hallucinations or dreams, very vivid, very violent. And they're all from like a first-person standpoint. And so, and it's happening during the time of the Jack the Ripper case. As the facts are coming out about the Jack the Ripper case, Julius realizes the details of the crimes match his dreams. So uncertain if he's going crazy or somehow witnessing these events firsthand, he embarks upon figuring out the truth of the matter, and in the process discovers a dark underworld in the streets of London where creatures of the night like vampires, demons, and other monsters are more than just things of legend. They are in fact real. So that's the basis there. In real life, for the Jack the Ripper case, they did bring in Sherlock or Scotland Yard into the case. So we utilize that fact to bring Sherlock Holmes on the case. So we have Sherlock Holmes. Other famous or infamous characters from pop culture and literary works are Dracula. Frankenstein's monster is in here, and amongst others. So it's a lot of fun. And this is our little Crimson universe, as we call it, where we bring all these characters together for your amusement. All right, so this here, I want to really capture the essence of the Jack the Ripper, the shocking nature of the Jack the Ripper case. And we have when the bodies are discovered. So I'm just doing rough sketches here with the pencil. So I'll go in a little closer so you can see what I'm sketching here. So I just start off very, very rough. So you see that. Is that playing? Yeah, it's playing. Wait a minute. I think I had it paused on the screen. Or is it just going really slow? There we go. All right. I think I had it paused on the Facebook feed so you couldn't see me drawing. So I just got the initial sketching done. There we go. All right. So anyways, in the original artwork for the crime scenes, you see the police discovering the bodies in the Jack the Ripper case, and they have very shocked expressions on their faces, rightfully so, because it was a horrifying sight to discover. So I think what I'm doing here is I'm going to draw one of the police, or what do they call them there, constables. One of the constables discovering one of the victims. But yeah, definitely go over to the Kickstarter. Check it out. We got videos posted in there, so you can watch some videos that explain who the characters are, and who Julius Resnick is, our main hero. Let's see here. You also learn more about our version of Dracula and who he is, and Adam Frankenstein, who, as most people know, is Frankenstein's monster. In our series, we have the origin stories of our monsters are the actual literary works of the original creators themselves. So for Frankenstein, it's Mary Shelley. Jekyll and Hyde, it's excuse me. I probably shouldn't have had some nuts beforehand. Throat just got dried out. I'll be okay. No need for alarm. Anyways, the original novels are our source materials for these characters, and then our books act as a continuation of the story for those characters. So for Adam Frankenstein, this takes place, if I remember right, roughly 100 years after the events in the book. And Adam has found a wife, and they're happy together. They're doing well, but she has become infected by something. And so Adam is forced to leave the sanctuary of where he lives to find help for her, because he can't stand the thought of losing her. So that's his part of the story. And then we also have, in addition to that, we have Jekyll and Hyde in here and others. So it's a lot of fun. And we have a great response from people who follow us and buy our books. We have a very good return rate for people who can't wait for the next issue and always asking when's the next issue going to come out. So we're happy to say this one here, the graphic novel consists of our 4 previous issues. They're combined together in this, and it's told in a slightly different, think of it like a director's cut. I'm trying to put it into words, but a director's cut would be the best way of stating it. The director's cut on ours is, in the individual issues, things are told in a certain format to reveal certain things at certain times, based on a per issue basis. But over time, now as those things become revealed, the order isn't as important per se. I mean, if you're reading it on an issue per issue basis, it works. But what I quickly realized is, once you do this in a format where it's a graphic novel and someone's going to read it all the way through with no breaks, I had to change up the chronological order of it. So the novel itself, or the graphic novel, I should say, is written more in a chronological order. So some of the different revelations and things are told slightly different. And it'll I think it plays better the way I did it for a straight read through. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So here we got them finding the body. Doing a lantern. All right. So this is just rough for now. And I'm going to get more detailed as I do the inks. I do want to quickly show where we're at here. All right. I guess it needs a jacket on this side. All right, I think that works for what we need here. So this just gives us the initial thing. Here's just the rough pencils. So I'm going to go in and do a ink layer, and then I'll do shadows with markers, grayscale markers. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, let's do this. If you're watching on TikTok, go to our bio and click on the link in the bio to go visit the Kickstarter. It is it truly is a labor of love. I am the creator, writer. Oh, really? We have these sensors on the lights. Hold on. There we go. If the sensor doesn't see you and thinks you're not here, it'll shut the lights off. It's annoying. All right. Anyways, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, you know what I'm saying. Go check things out. Go to our bio if you are watching on TikTok, if you're watching on Facebook or any of the other platforms, and you can see the link I posted, then go there. All right. So we got him holding a lantern. Doing this series, I've had to draw a lot of lanterns. Lanterns and horses are the other thing. Horses, I never look forward to a scene with a horse in it. Horses are a lot of work for me to capture correctly. Post the link again in the comments for you Facebook watchers so you can see the link to the Kickstarter. Less than 24 hours to go. Tuesday, tomorrow evening, which is Tuesday, March 5th, is the final. That's when the Kickstarter ends. So you gotta become a backer before 7 p.m. tomorrow to get in on the rewards and the savings and the bonus stuff. You'll get your most value when you buy a book through a Kickstarter, because that's where you have all these bonus stuff added to the different rewards. All right, just working on the lantern a little bit. Right now it's just the line work. We'll be getting to the actual things. Also, if you're watching on TikTok or on Facebook, please be sure to share the this live feed. Let other people find out about us. Let them see the links. If you do sponsor the Kickstarter, please share the link directly from the page over to your pages, because that's how we can get the most people to know about us. A little sloppy there. Oops. The good news is this part doesn't matter much because of the brightness of the lantern. Those lines are going to be in heavy, heavy shadows, probably purely black, actually, because the light cast from the lantern is going to be bright in comparison to the objects. They're going to be silhouetted. So I'm just drawing this in here. So this is one of the police officers, constables, coming across the scene of one of the murder victims of the Whitechapel murderer, later on known as Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper is a self-proclaimed name by the killer himself in one of the letters that he sends to the media, and that ends up in the hands of the Scotland Yard. He writes a letter where he calls himself, he's taunting the police, and he gives himself the name Jack the Ripper. So that's where there's a lot of true scenarios. We actually have the letter make an appearance in this storyline. We also have things like the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, which was a group of citizens who were trying to figure out the case on their own, trying to protect their families and loved ones. We have them make an appearance and a lot of other things. So it's a lot of fun. So watch on TikTok too. If you want to drop some gifts, feel free. Some roses or diamonds or whatever else it is you guys give on those Kickstarter feeds. Won't say no to those. Those always help. All right. I think what I'll do is work on the face now before I start finishing this area, just in case as I do it, the proportions need to be adjusted a little on the face. So I'll give us a look here. There we go. I should have put some music on in the background. Oh well. Actually, music, if I put that on in the background, especially on Facebook, a lot of times it gets muted because of copyright. So got to be careful with that too. Don't want the audio taken down since we're talking through this. All right. We're getting there, moving along. If you're wondering what this is, it's for Crimson Shadows. We've got our Kickstarter ending over the course of the next less than 24 hours now. So if you like horror, if you like Jack the Ripper, Dracula, Frankenstein, or anything like that, um, you may want to check this out. 198-page graphic novel. It's fully done. There's no risk. The only thing left to do is the order. So just waiting for the Kickstarter to finish. I'm currently going through and doing all of the adjustments needed for the printing company so that they can handle the printing of it. That's pretty much it. Story's all done. We have an artist proof that was done through another company. So yeah, it's a lot of work was involved to get us to this point, but very happy with it. Quality of the art is truly top notch. I'm not just saying that because I'm part of it. As I started saying earlier, I'm the artist. I'm the creator. Well, I shouldn't say artist. For this particular book, I'm the penciler, writer, creator, and colorist. And Brett Pinson is our letterer. Kevin Miner is our inker. So he handles the inks for us. This particular book I'm very happy with. It's been a fun collaboration with Brett and Kevin. I've done other books by myself where I've done all the steps. A, it takes longer when you do everything by yourself. But B, I really like the style that I use. But working with Brett and Kevin, our combined styles have created something even better that on our own, none of us could have done on our own to produce this. It would have had a completely different feel if any of us did this project without the others. And it gave us a unique style that we achieved that we don't have, any of us have solo. So it's been really cool to work on this as a collaborative piece. It's a lot of fun. Let's see here. Gotta get his helmet done. Sometimes there's music bands too, where you'll discover that where a singer or whatever, a guitarist, they sound a certain way as part of a band, but then they go do a solo project and they sound very different. And you wonder why. And it's stuff like this, because the collaborative process, when you're trying to merge your work into somebody else's, this hybrid is developed where by yourself, you're not having to make any changes to fit the overall project because it's all you. But when you collaborate, we try to build on each other's work, add our personal touches without sacrificing their work at the same time. And we have a great ship in our workload where none of us have, and I don't feel any of us have an ego where we're trying to outdo the other, but rather enhance each other and come out with something much, much better than any of us would have done alone. And so that's one of the things about Crimson Shadows I really love, because I've done a lot of projects solo, but working with Brett and Kevin really, I think, has improved the quality of this book far more than if I had done it alone. So good stuff, I tell you. Good stuff. All right. Getting down here. So This takes place in 1888. So one of the things with 1888 are the mustaches. Got to give them a big old mustache. All right, that's moving along. Let's give him a shocked expression with his mouth. Kind of have it kind of drop down. And then all right. Mustache covers part of the mouth, so I don't want to draw the full mouth. And then we're going to have the lips given a okay, that'll work for now. It's just enough to get us where we need to be. There we go. Get their collars that they have. And they have these pockets underneath their jackets. The light irritates me. All right. So let's see. He's got a coat on this side. I got to get the lines for. You're not going to see much of it, but at least got to acknowledge that it's there. And that pocket would be under there. So some get some stitching going down the seam here. All right. So now that I got this part pretty much done here, that works. All right. I think that is, gotta give the other side of that. All right. I think that gives us a good stopping point here. Not stopping point, I mean, with the inks. Now we got to erase the pencil lines off. That's the next step. Feel free to share this too on your pages as I work on this sketch cover. Yeah, with the real life Jack the Ripper case, what's amazing is how close some of these victims were found. Like one night is known as the double event, and two women were murdered on the same night. Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes murdered on the same night, and for that. Someone had seen her alive in the alleyway, and just 15 minutes later, a police officer went by and found her and dead. And it was that close together that she was seen by two different people. So it's, there were some really close calls there where they almost caught him. And we have one witness who actually saw his face. The other thing I try to do is the eyewitness accounts that do come up from different testimonials from different murders. I make sure to do costume changes for our character so that he matches the description of the actual testimonials. We incorporate some of the eyewitnesses into the story so that it explains why they are, why they heard things and stuff. So we try to do a good job of incorporating real life people and events into the storyline. If you have the first 4 issues, so issues 1 through 4 are contained within the graphic novel. It's a trade graphic novel. We also have, if you have them, well, we have an additional 28 pages of story in this one that has not been published before. So there's a lot of bonus material through story. We also have a concept art section. We have a timeline. We have a true fact section that kind of labels out some of the true things that happened and where things line up in the story with reality. So we do a lot of that in our bonus section, and feel like it adds a lot of value for people. All right, so I'm gonna, before I go and do more inks, I'm gonna do some of the marker work here, because last time these markers are a little wetter than I normally use for the brand I usually use, and it was causing a little streaking before. So I'm going to attempt to do this first. I'll attempt. I'm going to do it. It's not that hard to do the markers first. So I'm going to do this part first, and then I'll go in with heavy inks after. That way I don't get any smearing. So the light source is the lantern over here. So that light's beaming up. So it's going to cast shadows upward on his face instead of the usual downward that we're used to. So you got to envision where these darker areas are going to be. And it's a lot of fun because when you draw tons and tons of faces, it's fun to do something different. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm using the 30% gray just to get some of these areas shadowed. And then I'll go back in with darker and lighter grays just to further add depth to this character. And as I add more grays over this, it'll help blend them even more also. All right. And have them have darker hair, so I'm going to go do a lot of fill-ins here, because this will actually end up being the light area of his hair, other than some wispy white spots I'll add. All right, let's see. Now I got to constantly envision where this light is hitting and which way it's casting shadows. Go to the link in the bio if you're watching on TikTok. If you're on Facebook, go to the original post, or in the comments, I posted links as well. If neither of those work for you, go to bardstone.com to get the links that are posted there. So there's multiple ways for you to find us. We've hit our minimum funding goal as well. So if that's a concern for you, we've already hit that. So this will happen for sure. No doubt about it. It's all done. All the pages are drawn. Everything's done. We just have to order the final copies once we know our order quantities from the event. So that's where we're at. All right. So I'm just envisioning where some of these shadows might end up on his hand. Now, this is going to be really dark here because of the silhouetting from the light. So I'm going to not have to do too much here. Same with the jacket under here. There's going to be some sharp shadows hitting him, but it's because it's so close to the light source, but it's going to be very light shades happening because the light is hitting it, is washing out stuff over there. So we'll do that. Okay. Now the light is kind of going downward here, so you guys shift the angle of your shadow slightly because these are starting to fall underneath the light source. Always think of your light source and where your light is coming from. All right. Now, you got the brim up here. So this part juts out. So the top of this brim is going to be shadow. And then the under part, which is that strip, is going to be very light because the light's hitting that dead on. So we'll do that. This strip is going to end up being that. And then let's just figure out how this is going to go. That part's not as important because it's so high up. So we'll just kind of keep it like that. All right. His neckline here. The collar is going to cast a shadow. We'll do a couple with the buttons. All right. That gives me that. Oh, his eyebrows have to be the same color as his hair. All right. Then he's going to have his eyes, color in the pupils, the iris. And now that lower eyelid is going to cast a shadow upward. So we're just going to go a very light line going across there. All right. I think that works for our 30% grays. Link is in the bio. You're always welcome to send gifts if you're on TikTok. So hope to see stuff flowing in. Share the links. That's always nice. Actually, I'll do the lightest gray later. I'm going to go to the next darker gray, which is a 50% gray. Here we go. So just adding some more. So the lighter the gray I use, the more loose I am with where I go. Then as I darken up, I get more precise in what I decide to, where I decide to put the lines. And then when I go in with the lightest grays, oops, I'll use the light gray as a blender to help get these colors to merge a little better, so there's not harsh differences between the different layers, different colors. So when you're doing this, you kind of gotta envision like where the bleed is going to happen, and because light doesn't just, unless it's a very intense light source, light doesn't just create a very harsh line. It kind of bleeds into shadow, so you're going to have layers that will blend into each other. So that's what you'll see here. See, like right now, there's some sharp differentiation between the 30% and 50% gray. But when I come in with the blender, it's going to help, blend them together, bleed them together, and it'll give you a much more natural feel in how it transitions from a lighter gray into a darker gray. So that's kind of what I'm going to do here. So for this right now, I'm going to go with, okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of gray on this. I'm going to have a lot of heavy black on this, but this dark gray will act as a area where some of the lighter areas will be. And it looks dark now because right now it's the darkest color on the page and it's against white. But as I add the dark blacks onto it, you'll see this will suddenly look lighter. So these will be kind of like highlighted areas. And then I'll use a white gel pen to give me some very sharp whites for where it's going to be high reflection rate. So all right, here we go. Link is in the bio for the Kickstarter. Go there if you want to learn more about the different characters. We also have plague doctors hunting down some of the monsters and bad guy. Well, the plague doctors are bad guys, but they just hate all monsters. So they don't care if it's a good guy monster or a bad guy monster. They want them all. So we got the plague doctors in there and stuff. And if you go to the link that's in the bio, I have character videos done up that will, like in about a minute or so, tell you about the different characters. So it's a good little teaser of who's in our books and who they are and why they are the way they are. So feel free to leave any gifts on TikTok. Feel free to share the feed. And then what I do after I'm done is I will download this live video from TikTok. Then I throw it into CapCut and put a time lapse on it. And then it reduces it all just down to a minute. So you can see this done much faster than lifetime. I always have fun watching time-lapse videos of other people's drawings, so I figured why not do that for mine, right? All right, we're moving along. So like, I don't really have to waste ink down here. So I'll just fill it anyways. But I know that's going to be solid black because that's the bottom of the lantern. So I don't really have to do that. But let's get some shading on this mustache. Work on the eyebrows. And his hair. Not much of his hair showing, so. All right. On here, he's got this band going. I really want the band to be dark compared to the helmet, so I think I'll just do that. Just do it a solid color. I think that works. Anything I miss here, I'll just do a light line here just to give a slight crease to that. And the side of his face here, I want a little darker. All right, let's see. What am I missing here? A little bit there. A little bit there. All right, I think that's good for the 50% gray. All right. Now we'll go with the 70%. This is where things start getting dark. Welcome aboard, everybody who's joining us. Welcome. I appreciate you being on here. Really appreciate if you take a moment to go to the bio, click the link. If you're on Facebook, I would love it if you went and visited the link in the original post there that I made or in the comments. That would be wonderful. Make sure I'm staying in camera. All right. That will probably work. There's some little lines in here for the texture of the hair. With hair, you don't want to draw every single hair. You just want to give the feel of the flow. That's it. Just the feel of the flow. All right. That's the 70. I'm not going to do 90, I don't think, because I think that'll get too dark. Now we go with the 10% gray to give us a little bit going on here. Let's post the link again in the Facebook links in the comments. And we're going to remind you again, go over to our bio if you're on Facebook. Okay, this is the 10% gray. I'm just going to use this to fill in areas, and it'll also act as a blender. Then if I need to, I might, sometimes it'll blend more than I intended. So then I have to go back and touch up some areas. So here, like the nostrils will cast a shadow. And I'll have it fill in there. The mustache is casting a shadow, so I want to get that part. The side of his face will have a little more shadow because it's starting to go away from the lantern. Got his eyelids casting a little bit of shadow, not all the way up, just a little. Yeah, think of the contour of the face and where everything lines up. All right. We're going to add some subtle lines here for his worried expression. So you can see how it just adds a little depth by doing these lighter layers over the top. And with this being an intense light source, though, you really want to make sure the brightest areas are going to be pure white. And then as it gets farther away, you can play around with it getting darker and darker. All right. I think that probably works for now for this. Now I'll have to, I think I'm going to go in with the dark black. The black parts are really going to make things pop. I'll give you a close up here so you can see a little bit. Well, there's our constable coming across the body. All right. It's going to be nighttime, so I'm just going to go with pure black in the background. So let's just start with areas like this. Sharpie gives you a really nice black. And it's fast, it's cheap. So you don't care too much about that. So let's see here. So right now I'm just doing a very quick outline with this thinner Sharpie. And then I'll go back with a thicker Sharpie to fill in some areas. I don't want to color everything solid black. That's kind of boring. So what I'm going to do is draw in. I'll use this. I'm going to just use the edge of an envelope and draw in a doorway here that maybe he's coming through. And then have it go here. We'll just do that. And then let's see. It's like he's coming across them under an archway. And let's see. Just trying to figure out where these bricks will be. I'm just kind of roughing in a grid. This is just very rough. This is just meant to be like a convention sketch level piece, not meant to be some crazy high-end thing. Try and get this done in an hour. So I'm at 55 minutes. So I'm almost done. My goal with these type of things are to try to get it in an hour. Actually, I should. Let's go with, I gotta rough in these lines back here. All right, that gives me that. Nice. I'm just drawing some quick lines for the brickwork. Didn't really grid this out due to the time constraint, so may not be perfect, but that's okay. And then we got, we'll have some brickwork here going around. Let's see. Oh, that went off the track. There we go. Should have just done that to begin with. All right, let's see. I'm just picturing where these different areas would be. Good enough there. There we go. Let's throw in some quick shadow on this. This will just be fast. Let's see. We're just going to go with just going fast here. It's just supposed to give the feeling of brick in the background. Let's see. All right, that gives me enough there. Now I'm just going to go in and let's just blend this out here. There we go. I'm being a little messy here with the lines on the side because I'm going to fill that in with black Sharpie anyways. So all right, now I'm going to go in with the 10%, and that will really, I think, finish this off. All right, here we go. Link is in the bio for our Kickstarter. Don't forget, if you're new, if you're just joining us. A lot of people join in later, so that's why I'm repeating myself. So my apologies to those who've heard me say it a million times. Link is in the bio if you're watching on TikTok. If you're on Facebook or those platforms, the link is in the original comment and in the comment section. All right. Now let's add the pure black here. We're almost done. And then we have to add some white highlights. Will be the last part, I think. All the tight areas, I'm using this smaller Sharpie. Let's see, Court Jester. We have a question here in Facebook. How long does it take for you to do the same figure for different occasions? High-end image, panel, or actual book? You know, good question. I work in stages. So I'll do all my pencils for the entire book all the way through. And then I will, so typically, see, here's the hard part, because I also have a day job. I'm also a realtor full-time. So that's my primary income. And, you know, if I'm busy, I don't get as much done. If I'm working hard or if I'm slower in real estate, I'll get more done. With that said, I will typically lay out the panels for a page. In a normal process, I'm being interrupted to do my real estate and go for showings and all that. I'll typically do one page a day. So it'll take me about 30 days to do 30 pages. And like I said, if I was back when I was doing artwork full time, I could probably do a fully penciled, colored, inked and colored page, a whole page. I probably got done probably in about 4 hours, to be honest. That's probably where I was at for a fully finished page. Back then I was drawing 10 hours a day. I was working for different companies for storyboarding. Back then I was really fast. But it's like exercise and running and everything else. When you don't do it at that level on a consistent basis, your speed slows down. So back in the day, about pre-COVID, I could probably do, like I said, about 4 hours per page. And that would be laying out the page, penciling the page, inking the page, and coloring the page. Now, with work and everything else, like I said, it takes longer. It probably takes about a month to do 30 pages of pencils, a month to do 30 pages of inks, and a month to do 30 pages of colors. So it takes me about 3 months now for an issue. But like I said, it's not, I don't have that availability like I used to have. Thank you for asking that question. Hope I answered it well. When you work in stages, it's hard to say, because I save a lot of time by working in stages. So I have all my settings a certain way. I use Adobe Photoshop as my to draw in to create my digital files because everyone wants to work in digital nowadays. And it makes it much easier when it's time to submit the stuff to the printing company to have digital files. So I work in Adobe Photoshop primarily, and the by doing it all in stages, I go faster. Now, for this book, I send it over to Kevin Meinert for inks. That way, while he is working on inks, I can start my layouts for another book, or I'll be writing because I also write. So I might be writing a story, or taking care of the next project, try and get things in order. So it just depends on where that previous project was. Then once I get the inks back from Kevin, then I start the coloring phase. And so I'll lay them out as flats first, and then go in and do final colors. And I find doing those as steps that way, all the way through, like I said, I go much faster than just doing a whole page to completion. All right. Now we got to add some dark areas on the character here. We want him to really pop. So let's see here. We'll use the Sharpie for his outline. And actually, I want this to be black. Back when I did storyboards for advertising companies, that was probably my fastest. I used to be able to crank out stuff so fast. I had a whole process down, and a friend of mine, Chris Scalf, who's just amazing in artwork. He was my mentor, and the amount of work he is able to do and the speed and for photorealism is just insane. He has a true gift from God, and he's a good friend of mine. And I used to go over his house a lot, watch him draw, and he would show me his techniques, and I would practice and really figure out how to do what he could do. Now, for him, I could not even come close to the level that he did, but it definitely improved me by so much following his techniques and how he did things. So he was a huge help to me. And once I learned that, my speed was insane. I used to do drawing exercises where a 1 minute per character, I would lay out a grid of like 50 grids, and I would just have to quit. I would set a timer, give myself 1 minute per grid to draw a portrait and try to capture that portrait as accurate as I could in 1 minute. And what's nice about doing those kind of exercises is it really speeds you up, and you realize there's a lot of redundant steps that we do as artists in our process. And when you do those kind of drawing exercises, what happens is you're knowing that you have to have it done in a minute. You suddenly start weeding out unnecessary steps, just subconsciously. It's not even planned, and you'll sidestep certain parts and realize like, oh, I can just go straight to this step. I didn't have to do this other one first. So it's those speed exercises helped me so much, and he insisted I do those over and over and over again, and I got really good. And unfortunately right now I just don't have the need for that speed like I used to, so I kind of fell out of practice. But I know the techniques, and I know I'm capable of it. So if I ever wanted to again, I definitely could. If I did those practices for a month, I'm pretty sure I would be back to my old speeds. So it's pretty neat doing those kind of things. So he really gave me an idea of how to speed up. Let's see. Yeah, answered well. Thank you. You're talking about how much slower you're doing it now, and all I'm thinking is how fast that seems to me. But I don't do this type of work. Yeah, I back about 5 years ago, I probably would have done this. In all seriousness, this level of drawing right now, I could have done this in probably 30 minutes at the most, 20 to 30 minutes. So I could have done this back then. I had some health issues also pop up, which kind of slowed me down. I had a heart attack, and they say I had a very slight stroke also during the heart attack. I had that back in August of last year. And I do find one of the things that changed, like you hear me saying, and I'm finding multitasking is harder now. So ever since that happened, say I hate saying too. Ever since that happened, like if my brain is focused on one thing, it's very hard for me to talk about something different. So it takes a lot of kind of willpower for me to kind of talk while I'm doing this now. Whereas before I used to do live streams a long time ago all the time, and it just wasn't an issue. Where it is now, it's more of an issue. But I feel like, I mean, considering everything I went through, I think I'm doing pretty well. So I think that did slow me down a little bit. I don't know. I don't like making excuses. So, but sometimes there's realities to things. All right. So yeah, this is not my old speed, that's for sure. All right. So now I'm thinking about where the light is casting on this. And repetition definitely helps with speed. It does. And like I said, the biggest thing is set your. I think one thing that stops a lot of artists, and this happened to me too, and this was Chris's advice, and he just gave so much great advice to me, is a lot of us, we live in a social media world where everything has to be posted. And I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to post everything we do, everything. And the problem with that is, this is part of what I like with this. I'm doing a live drawing here. If I make an error, who cares? I'm confident enough in my ability. I know what I'm capable of. And this is just meant to be a fun drawing. It's not meant to be, if this was a comic panel, I would be laying it out much more carefully. I'd be making sure my perspective lines are right. I would really be mapping out where my shadows are. I'm just doing this for fun. And however it turns out, it turns out. But I've done enough work that I have that confidence that I don't care if somebody's like, oh, that's not good enough, But I think a lot of people feel they have to post everything. And when you're practicing, practice is where you can make your errors. And also, when you make your errors in art, sometimes you find, as Bob Ross says, happy accidents. But when you're striving for perfect every time so that you can repost it, you might overtry, and you'll only reach to a certain point. And you got to allow yourself those errors to figure out how to improve. And when he told me that, I realized that. And so I started doing these exercises where I had no intention of ever sharing them with anybody. They were just being done to better myself, not to share with social media. Now, after I did all those exercises and I looked through some, I was very proud of what I was doing, to draw 50 portraits in 50 minutes and have them be pretty accurate enough that people would know who they were. And, sometimes I was really impressed, like, wow, I can't believe I did that good of a portrait in 1 minute, because what you end up doing is like with this one, I started out with a pencil sketch, and then built on it. Well, when you only have 1 minute, you go straight to you bypass all the line work, and you're just you're blotching in the necessary shadows where they need to be, darkening up a couple spots, and then going over with some lines over it to really make certain features pop. So it's like a 3-step process to do a portrait when you're trying to do it in a minute. So that was a very interesting learning experience for me doing that way. And it showed me what I could do, working in the storyboard industry too helped me a lot, because you're working with very high level accounts, national chains and things like that. And they have an insane threshold of, as far as how much work they need done in hours. I would have to do like 12 photorealistic paintings in like a 12-hour period. And the pace was just insane. And when you would get a job, you would pretty much have to not sleep. You would get the job. Of course, they always send the artist the job like a Friday night, and they want it first thing Monday morning. And the level of detail, they want everything to be photorealistic in how you paint. So that it also developed me in a lot of ways that I didn't even realize I would need to survive doing that. And that was a great learning curve. And when you look back, if you go to my on Facebook, The Art of Scott, I think it's at The Art of Scott Zambelli is the full link. If you go there and look at my old stuff, you'll see a lot of photorealistic paintings I did and stuff. And that was back at that time. And I could whip those out in like 3 hours. I could do a complete photorealistic portrait that was really good. Now, you kind of get rusty when you don't use certain skills. So like for now, I've left all that. I'm a realtor, as I said, in Michigan. So if you need a real estate agent, let me know. But I don't need those skills right now, because I've become a comic book artist, and the skills for doing comic books is much different than doing standalone pictures, So now in this issue, my penciler for this issue was J. Travis Smith, who did a phenomenal job. And then I had to take over in issue 2, and I've been the penciler ever since. But this one is the J. Travis Smith. So what I would do is I would do the initial layouts and rough pencils for him. Then he would do detailed pencils over, and then I would color over that. So, but that was a learning process too, doing all that. And then when I had to take over the pencils, I was fine with it. I know what I'm doing. It was more about a time issue, because having him do those, I was moving on to the second issue and get my writing done. So it's a process. Sometimes people will, talk, like when you're set up at comic book conventions. It's interesting because they'll be like, oh, you had somebody else do the inks, you didn't do everything. Well, it's very time consuming to do this type of artwork. And if you're a one-man show, it takes longer and longer to put out product. And meanwhile, your fans, they want to get the next issue. They don't want to wait years for the next issue. So we did this as a way of saving time for our fans. And like I said, the byproduct was us creating a style, a new style for us that none of us individually would have done on our own, but together, the way our artwork styles merge, we came up with a style that is uniquely Crimson Shadows when compared to anything else that any of us do individually. I've done projects fully 100% on my own, but there's a rewarding aspect when you have two awesome artists that you're working with to complete a project. And it truly has been a blast working with Brett and Kevin on this. So I'm just blocking in the heavy black areas. So if you have never had any Crimson Shadows books before, or even if you did, visit our links. The link here, I'll post it again in our comments on Facebook. And for you TikTokers, it's in my bio. But go visit that page. Check out the artwork. We have less than 24 hours left on that campaign. And I really would love everyone to get a chance to get a copy. This particular Kickstarter is for our 198-page graphic novel. That's a big graphic novel. And it will, I think you all will be very, very pleased if you take part in this. We also, when you're buying so first you pick out your reward tier in Kickstarter, and then you have what's called the add-on menu. The add-on menu will also give you a lot of extra options for customizing your package that you get. You can get our past individual issues, and we have a big sale on our limited ones because a lot of people have bought 1 or 2 issues in the past of the various issues. Well, I want you to be able to complete your collections of the individual issues and get the variant covers as well. So I have gone ahead and they are marked down by half. So you can get issues 1, 2, 3, and 4 for half price for the individual issues. So that's a good savings. But I'm a collector also, so I want to help you guys collect your books. It's fun, and collecting is it's becoming a lost art because so many people now they don't really collect. They just get digital editions and that's it. I have nothing wrong with digital editions. We offer digital editions, so if you do like digital editions, those are available at the Kickstarter as well. But there's something about getting the physical copy and reading through it and then you bag it up and board it and even if it doesn't become a huge money maker as far as a collectible goes, there's something really cool when you go look through your collection and you have that 10 years later you're looking through your stuff and you've got that copy there in perfect condition from way back when, and it's just really neat. And being an independent publisher, these are truly like micro runs. Our first prints for these are like our unlimited edition books are only like 300 copies or so printed, and then the limited edition books are only, I think most of them are 100. And then you get into our rare books where we have ones that are just one of one prints where there's just one printed with that cover. We have some where there are 50 issues. We have some metal prints. Those are very limited. We call them the ultra rare editions. So it's pretty cool. And you can get those with us. We have all those available. All right, I'm just putting some little highlights in some places. All right. I think that'll do it. Let me lay this straight in the image here. Got to sign it too. Let's put our signature. We'll do that right here. Let's go with a thinner pen. That's a thick one. We'll go here. All right. So you guys just got to put up with me one last time in saying where to go. This is for our Crimson Shadows graphic novel, 198 pages. It centers around the Jack the Ripper case. Follow our hero, Julius Resnick, as he recently has fallen ill, and he is experiencing vivid dreams and visions that are of a very violent and cruel nature. And as the facts of the Jack the Ripper case start coming to light, he starts realizing those facts match the details of what his visions were. So he starts a search for the truth, takes him into the dark underworld of London, where he encounters the likes of Dracula, Frankenstein, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, vampires, demons, and more. Plague doctors are on the hunt also. So a lot of fun action, 198 pages. You won't be disappointed. So if you are watching on TikTok, click the link that is in the bio. That will take you there. We end 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, which is Tuesday, March 5th. So if you're watching this tomorrow, it'll be later on today. As of right now, at the time of recording this, we're at pretty much 22 hours and 14 minutes left to get your bids in. So check that out. The links are in the bios for TikTok. They're in the posts and comments for Facebook. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And on that note, I'll catch you later. Bye.